Hello and welcome to Cracking the Rich Code, the podcast. I'm your host, John Verrico. And once again, I bring you yet another super special guest. And this guy, all right, I know I say there's something special about everybody, but this guy in particular, we just hit it off when we first met on one of the Cracking the Rich Code masterminds. And we've done a couple of projects together on the side, and I know that we'll be doing lots of things going forward. But I'd like to bring on my friend, Ophir Adar. Ophir, how are you
Hey,
today?
how's
So
it
great
going,
to see you.
John? It's great to see you, my man.
Hey,
And it is such a great network, right, that we're connected with. Great
it is
group of
so true. It is so true. We've met so many great people through the Cracking the Rich Code Mastermind and other projects, and
yes.
we keep introducing each other to yet other groups as well, where we can also benefit and grow. And that is really the true benefit of being in something like Cracking the Rich Code is the interaction with the other authors, the other experts, and the professional and personal relationships that we develop with them. So you in
Absolutely.
particular is one of my treasured relationships, and I'm so glad that we connected. And I'm glad. And we originally had this scheduled a while back, and unfortunately, I had something come up, and we had to change it. And I'm so glad that we're finally getting to do this episode.
So am I. And it's the most beautiful timing in the world because I'm getting ready for my new book launch, too. So we'll talk about that at some point.
This is fantastic. Well, since
Yeah.
you're, already an international best-selling author in Cracking the Rich Code, and an international best-selling author in The Art of Connection, 365 Days of Abundance quotes, this next book of yours should go crazy just because of the fact that you're already a best-selling author.
And it's such a beautiful thing, by the way, that Jim put together because, writing a chapter is ultimately the best way to get started in writing a book, right?
Exactly. It gets that thought process going, and then you realize, oh my God, I've only got 3,000 words, and I have so much more I want to say.
And it's so incredible because it's like, look, and I talk about this in coaching too. Like when you look at a big picture, things are daunting, right? But when you break it down to small pieces, then it becomes so much easier. And so, like, that's just a great opportunity to start small and be able to tackle a project that's smaller and be able to really see how you can finalize it and then take that into a book project.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well,
Yeah.
so quickly, and we'll talk more about things as we move. But quickly, what is your new book?
Oh, my new book is called Feed Your White Wolf, and it's right here.
I love it.
And
I
it
love it, and that's
is
coming out in
it is
July.
coming out July 12th. I'm so
So,
excited.
so
And by the way,
this is an evergreen podcast. It's either before or after the book is out there. But if it's not out there yet by the time you're watching this, keep your eyes open for it. And if it is already out there, grab it.
absolutely. And by the way, John, anybody who buys the book and writes a review and sends it to us will get a free copy of the workbook, which I put so much work into this because books are great, right? It's
Right.
amazing. It's a little bit about my story and it's about the spiritual laws of the universe and the lessons I learned from coming from addiction into sales and my transformation along the way from a lot of the stories that I have and the lessons that I learned. So it's just a great book for people. And it's a book that you can use for any area in your life, right? It doesn't have to be apropos to sales or real estate. It can
Right.
be used for any area of the life of your
Any
life.
area of your life. So let's
Yeah.
talk briefly about the concept of feeding the white wolf.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a story from my childhood, and you and I have been talking about this. It's an amazing story that I learned when I went to survival camp at 9 years old. And I tell that story. My parents sent me to survival camp, and they had to sign a waiver in case I died. So do you know my mom? I still bring it up to her because I like to stick it to her. She laughs about it hysterically. She's like, oh yeah. She's like, I remember that. And so, I got to this, we flew into this camp in Ontario, Canada on a seaplane. And there was still ice on the water in June. And they took us and they threw us out into the water and said, sink or swim. right? And that was a little bit like my real estate career because that's how it started. It's like, hey, jump in, sink or swim, right? And so it's about the story that I heard at the last night of camp when 10 of us boys were sitting around the campfire in our underwear, and we were getting ready to win our eagle feather for everything we had accomplished. And they brought in a Native American tribe leader to speak to us because in Ontario it's surrounded by Native American tribes. And
Right.
and he came in and he said, I have a fight going on inside me. And one side is the white wolf, and it's full of love and collaboration and abundance. And the other side is the dark wolf, and it's full of ego and envy and scarcity and fear. And I asked him actually, which one wins? And he said, the one you feed. And I forgot about that for most of my life until I got into real estate on the Sunset Strip in Los Angeles at 30
Right.
years old.
Right.
And I was door knocking and I literally broke down in my car crying, John, because I didn't know why I wasn't able to connect with people, why I wasn't able to, get people to see that I really wanted to help them. And then I realized that my mindset was so askew in the wrong place. I didn't believe that they should work with me. So if I don't believe that they should work with me, why would they work with me? And
You
that's when
know,
I started
you
to see how to feed the white wolf.
you make such a valid point, and what I found is really interesting in life is that um, when you come across hungry, people can feel that.
Oh, all day long. And I'm going to share something with you, John. Most people don't know this, but probably 90% of realtors are living paycheck to paycheck. So their commissions are everything to them, right?
Sale to sale to sale. Yeah.
And it's hard to come from integrity when you're literally that sale's going to feed you or not, right? So it's about it's about learning how to communicate with people and speaking to new people regularly and building a pipeline of leads, which is very easy to do when you're taught how to do it the right way.
When you had this great epiphany and you came to this transformation in your life, and then you started finding the ways to become successful because of
Yes.
your changed nature in how you related to your potential clients and all of that. You took it to the next level, right? You said, I'm not going to keep this secret to myself. I'm going to share this. And that's how you created real momentum.
One of my favorite quotes is change the way you look at things, and the things you look at will change. And
Yes.
when I changed how I looked at lead generation, John, which was, I came into it with the same sales resistance that everybody else has. And I felt like, oh, I don't want to be smarmy. I don't want to be bothering people. And then I realized that they really do need help. They really want support and guidance. And if I'm not doing it, then there's somebody bad out there who's going to be doing it. And so when I reframed it like that, it was so easy for me to really have a purpose and really focus on
Right.
communicating with as many people as possible. So it's so important how you're looking at things, how you're perceiving them is everything.
Oh, so true. And it, like I said, it really comes across when you are working with other people. They can see, they can feel where you're coming from. They know when you're looking at them as, just kind of like a lion or a wolf, looking at them as potential lunch, or you know, or
John,
if you're looking to bring them into your pack.
John, bring them into your pack. That's the beauty of it, John. It's clients for life, right? That's what we teach at Real Momentum. The goal is to develop clients for life.
Yeah.
And most agents aren't being taught that right now. They're just being taught to go after deals. They're not taught how to do it the right way. And so it makes it really uncomfortable for them. But if you're focused on the right things and your goal is to really support people and help them, then they're going to feel that too.
Yeah.
And those are the people they want to work with.
And it all comes from a kind of a being heart-centered and authentic, right?
John, let me share a quick story. I was starting in the Sunset Strip of Los Angeles, wanting to be a listing agent, and I would go on listing appointments, but I didn't have any listings to talk about or sales to talk about. So what could I do? And so what my coach told me, which I learned, which was the most valuable lesson in the world, was make it about the client. Everybody else is going to go in there and talk about all their sales and how amazing they are. And I walked into the next listing appointment and I said, what's important to you about this sale? This is about you. And the guy started crying.
Wow.
And that was it, man. The guy started crying. And I had been up, I had seen 5 of the top listing agents, listing presentations sitting there on his table, big time listing agents. And here I come in, like I don't have a lot of them. And when I made it about him, I got the listing right away. He didn't want to work with anybody else. And that's the way I proceeded for the rest of my career, right? Making it about the consumer is everything.
Yeah. And people want to know that they matter. And when it's about them, they feel like, hey, I'm part of this decision. It's I do matter. I am important. And that's when you make people feel that way, they want to connect with you. They want to hear from you. They want to trust you.
Yes. That's the look.
And as long as you don't take advantage of that.
And you can. And here's the deal. Like, people work with you. And I share this all the time in my training, is people work with you because you built the most rapport with them, not because you're the best agent, because you built the most rapport with them. That's where
exactly
it
it.
comes from.
Everything is like that. If you think about it, you choose what restaurants you want to go to, not because necessarily the quality of the food, but it's how you're treated and how the people, how you get along with folks. I'll go to a place with mediocre food when they know that I like, lime in my water, or whatever.
Yeah.
They greet me even if they don't know my name. They remember
Yes.
me and they treat me like a human being. They smile. Rather than some of these snooty restaurants when they may have superior food, but they're all like,
What's amazing, it's amazing to me. They act like it's a sales thing that's new. It's like they act like they're doing you a favor.
Yes.
Like, I'm like, yeah, thank you for doing me a favor, right?
Yeah.
For allowing me to come here.
I'm sorry, this chef would not alter his recipe.
I love it.
Who's the chef cooking for? I'm the one eating it. I said no sesame seeds, whatever,
Yeah, right. Oh, you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah. How can you do that?
Yeah, but ambiance is important. And energy is, listen, John, energy is everything, right? Energy is everything.
Yeah. And you got to exude the right energy.
Yes, and you want to feed your white wolf so you have the right energy, right? One of the things you and I were talking about is we are moving into a very strange time, right? What I call a correction in the marketplace, which usually happens every 7 to 10 years. And we are now at year 15. It needs to happen. It's part of life. And at the same time, I also present it as the best time to build a real estate business. This 2026 will be the best time for anyone to build a real estate business, because you got to learn the right way to do it. And there's going to be a lot of opportunity to take over market share because a lot of people are going to get out of the business. So this is the best time to get into real estate when you do it the right way. And I stepped down from managing Compass, Beverly Hills, and Hollywood, two of the most successful offices in the country, because I saw a need for training and coaching and mentoring agents. And I wanted to create a community where the energy was phenomenal and all the people that are involved in it are excited about talking to people, are collaborative, and it feeds them, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So perfect. And that's where real momentum came from on this whole thing, right? And that
Absolutely.
also, that's the name of your chapter in the Cracking the Rich Code book. Volume 14, correct?
Yes, volume 14.
Right.
And it's the name of my coaching company.
Yep.
And the name of the chapter, because you can have momentum in life and be going down the wrong track. Right?
So true. You're going in the wrong direction.
Yeah. And,
where will your momentum carry you?
Exactly. Where will momentum carry you? And here's the thing too, John, most real estate agents have the opportunity to build on the momentum that they've created in their business.
Yes.
And yet they don't, because they start facilitating their business and not talking to anybody, and then they got to start all over again, right?
Yeah.
And what I learned was when I could, really consistently be committed to making a certain amount of contacts, then I could build my business, and as it was growing, leverage it into 3 times as much business.
It's amazing what happens when you stop selling and start relating. And,
Yes.
and then all of a sudden, you're right, everything picks up because you're making better relationships, you're building more trust, and business follows. Commerce follows when you create that kind of an environment. So I want to
Absolutely.
talk. Go ahead.
No, I just said absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit more about the chapter that you wrote in volume 14. Kind of give readers, and where I should say the listeners of
Yeah,
this podcast, give them a little taste of
I
kind of
will.
what you talked about in the chapter and what you hope people come away with.
Yeah, I love it. I will, John. The beginning of the chapter is about. I make comparisons, right? Like if you were going into the arena, into the Coliseum, right, to go into battle, would you say, you know what, John? I don't need a sword. Ah, nah, what do I need a sword for? You know what? I don't need a shield. What do I need a shield for? I'll wing it, right? Like nobody's going to say that in the history of the world. And yet in sales, we go into the arena.
Yeah.
And we go in without armor, without practicing our conversations, without knowing what we're talking about. We go in without a sword, right? And it's just the comparison is so important for people to understand. You are in the arena as an entrepreneur. You want to prepare and get yourself ready to be the best and most successful that you can be. But nobody in the history of the world got into the arena and said, I don't need a sword. I don't need it.
Maybe Hercules.
Yeah, right? He just needed his hair.
No, that was Samson.
Samson, I'm sorry, you're right. Samson, yeah. That's right.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Hey, we're talking
that's the basis of the book, and some more, observations in terms of, it's just that we're looking at things the wrong way, right? I see a lot of entrepreneurs that don't understand the entrepreneurial mindset. They have more of a 9-to-5 mentality mindset. It's not about a fault. It's just about they never learned how to be an entrepreneur. And I never learned how to be an entrepreneur until I went from one coaching to another, to another, to another, to another, to get as good as I could possibly get. And the more I was in coaching and learned all these things, the more I wanted to share with other people.
And that's what makes you so special, Ophir. You're not just absorbing this knowledge and keeping these secrets to yourself, for your own success. You're sharing them. And that's what makes all the difference, because you're saying, okay, I learned this and it helped me. Now I can help you. And you don't
have to spend $500,000 on training like I did.
Right. But what you're doing too is you're creating abundance for everyone. And even though somebody says, oh, well, now you're giving your secrets to your competitors, you know what? There's plenty of business out there. And I think people, especially in the entrepreneurial world, kind of forget that. We're always worried.
Forget that.
Yeah. We're always so worried about sharing our concepts and things like that, because we're afraid somebody else is going to use them and take our potential clients. There's plenty of business out there.
Yes. That's the first thing I say, John, is like, I don't care what happens in the real estate market, right? I could care less. There's more business than any one of you could ever handle right now, right? Even in the worst market. It's not about that.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with that, right? It's about what are you doing for your business, right?
Absolutely. Hey, we're talking with Ophir Adar, who is the founder of Real Momentum. He is a brilliant real estate coach. Real Momentum is a coaching and training company that helps to transform lead-dependent real estate agents into confident, thriving, deal closing powerhouses. And you can see and feel his energy just in chatting with him and getting a good understanding for where he's coming from, right? And it's all about human to human relationships, and that's what we're talking about here.
And John, I want to be really clear about something. It's always about being a listing agent. We only train listing agents, right? Because listings bring you all of the leverage. They bring you all of the buyers that you need.
Right.
Listings are king. And most real estate agents are taught that they won't be able to get listings at the beginning of their career. And that's a bunch of hoo-ha, right? I learned how to get listings in the Sunset Strip in West Hollywood right at the beginning of my career because I got into coaching. And I was given a roadmap and I was given guidance. And so I became a listing agent very quickly. And I want people to understand that that is something that anybody can do as long as they're focused on building their database full of sellers.
You know, you mentioned earlier, just a little while ago, you talked about a lot of people are in that 9 to 5 mindset. You know,
Yes.
and I'll admit I was definitely one of those because I worked in, you know, the government and nonprofit sector for 42 years, and I was doing some entrepreneurial stuff on the side, but it was always a side hustle because I always had that cushion of the day job.
Right.
But when I retired from the day job and started going into the entrepreneurial world, that first year, I was definitely in a 9 to 5 mindset, or not even 9 to 5. Of course, you know, you get busy, right? You take on so much stuff. My wife says I have a helium arm because I'm always, I'll do that.
That's awesome.
Involve me in that, you know.
Yeah.
And so we wind up taking on a bunch of stuff because we're thinking of it in, if I don't do this, I won't get money.
Yeah.
And that's really the wrong mindset. It's so self-defeating. I've found that we get busy, and busy is actually an acronym for basically underserving yourself. So, you know,
Are
what
you
you need to
in
do is be more.
busyness or are you in business?
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it.
And most people are in busyness. 1000%. Do you understand?
Yeah.
These agents are working their tail off. And John, it's counterintuitive to human nature.
Yeah.
Human nature, we do what's put in front of us, and that's why, right? If you want to run a business, you got to take a step back and do it the right way and have systems and duplicatable conversations, right? And that's what it takes in order to be really successful.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah.
so you talk about this a little bit in your chapter in Real Momentum in volume 14 of Cracking the Rich Code. And now you've got your book coming out, Feed Your White Wolf. Let's dive
Yeah.
into a little bit of what you're telling people in that book. And we've hinted at it a little bit, but let's chat a bit about it.
Absolutely. You know, I'm giving people what I not what I believe, what I know, because I've done this for 25 years and I've managed for Keller Williams, Coldwell Banker, and Compass. I built 2 of my own companies nationally. I learned all these lessons, and what I learned was that the most important thing is communication, right? Is being willing to communicate and being willing to push yourself past your comfort zones. And most people aren't willing to do what makes them uncomfortable. So when you're willing to do those things and you're willing to push yourself past comfort zones, that's where you're always going to grow and have transformation, right? We all have ceilings of achievement. And in order to break through those ceilings of achievement, we've got to push ourselves and be uncomfortable. And most people don't want to be uncomfortable. Get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Oh, yes.
Right? And
Absolutely. Because that's where growth happens.
That's where growth and transformation happens. And that's why I went from not being able to talk to people, literally not being able to walk and talk and chew gum at the same time, John, to becoming becoming the number 1 agent for Keller Williams in all of California by my 4th year in real estate.
You know, and it's so hard to picture you as a shy person not able to talk to people.
Yeah, like my clients, my agents that I coach, I'm always like, listen, you got to look at perspective, right? And they're like, that's not true. That wasn't you. I'm like, okay, whatever you want to say, man. But I couldn't walk and talk and chew gum If there was a party, I'd be holding up the wall, right? Making sure it wasn't falling down. And I just didn't feel comfortable, building rapport with people. And a lot of it was from trauma in childhood, and a lot of things that, created who I was at that point. But the most important thing is you are not the victim of your childhood circumstances, right? That may have created who you are now, but you can always transform and grow and move forward. You just have to make a concerted effort.
We have to remember not to listen to those voices in our heads that are not ours. I was a bullied kid in school too. I was definitely the bullied kid in school. And when I drew attention to myself, I got beat up.
Yeah.
And so because of that, I was an extrovert who I wanted to be an extrovert, but I was forced to be in an introvert's body because, like I said, when I drew attention to myself, I would get in trouble. And so, it's amazing now. People look at me and they say, "How can you be a motivational speaker? You're always doing this stuff." I'm like, you know what? It's because I realized that those voices in my head were telling me that I couldn't do stuff were not my voices.
Right. The number one kiss of death is mind reading. I say in real estate, the number one thing that I focus on in the first month when I'm working with agents, the number one thing we're doing is smashing all their limiting beliefs.
Yes.
They have so many they don't even know about, right? They have so many. And that's my whole point. I mean, I had so many. If I don't believe somebody should work with me, why the hell would I go try to talk to them?
Right. Why if you don't believe somebody's going to work with you, why would they believe they should work with you?
Not only are they not going to believe it, why would I go do it if I believe that? I'm going to find a reason not to. My unconscious mind, my background is in neurolinguistic programming. And so, our unconscious mind dominates a lot of what we do. It's patterns, right?
Yes.
And so, if your unconscious mind is telling you this isn't going to work, then you're not going to be motivated to do it.
What is that old saying? If you think you can and you think you can't, you're right.
Henry Ford, it's one of my favorite sayings. It's in my book, Feed Your White Wolf. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
Absolutely.
That's the truth. That's what it comes down to.
So I'm definitely looking forward to Feed Your White Wolf when it comes out. I will expect an autograph copy, by the way.
Absolutely. 1000%.
And then also people can get a taste of what you're all about in Cracking the Rich Code Volume 14 in his chapter, Real Momentum. This has been a delightful conversation, a great opportunity for us to catch up. Want to tell people that if they would like to reach out and connect with you, not only can they go to your website, realmomentum.com, but can also find you on LinkedIn. You seem to be pretty responsive on that and welcoming for people to reach out to you there. So on LinkedIn, he is Coach Ophir, and that will be in the show notes as well, so people can connect with you. Ophir, before we wrap this up,
yes,
what is one thing that you want to leave the listeners of this podcast with? What is one thing that you want them, some nugget you want them to take away, either from your chapter or just in general?
After being in real estate for 25 years and managing real estate agents, entrepreneurs, because we're all independent contractors, I realized that it's so important for people to have the right guidance. I never had that guidance at the beginning of my career. And so I didn't have a lot of success, and I almost got out of the business. And that would have been the worst thing that could ever have happened to me or to anybody who wants to be an entrepreneur. So I want people to hear, if you're an entrepreneur, then seek out coaching and guidance. And I'm not saying mine. I am saying you should be seeking out coaching and guidance, not a company that's trying to sell you leads, right? Not a company that's helping you grow and transform, because that's where the growth happens and that's where the success happens. And it can happen very quickly when you do it and you're doing a lot of things in conjunction, which is what we do at Real Momentum, which is role play and accountability group and mindset coaching and skill set coaching. And when you're doing that weekly, then it's impossible not to succeed.
I love it. I love it. And just to reiterate the one point you made earlier on, which was become comfortable with being uncomfortable, and you'll have room to grow. Hey, I love it. This has been
Yes.
a great conversation.
I think that was Eleanor Roosevelt,
I think so. Yeah.
right? And she's a powerhouse woman.
Oh, absolutely. Hey, great conversation, a great opportunity to catch up. My special guest today, Ophir Adar, and check out his chapter in Cracking the Rich Code, Volume 14. Check out his new book, Feed Your White Wolf, and check out the next edition of Cracking the Rich Code, the podcast. We'll be back. Take care, everyone. Have a great day. Thanks, Ophir.